Welcome to Trading Lounge and the European indices, and I'd like to start with the S&P, and also just to mention too that Tuesday, tomorrow and Thursday this week we won't be doing videos. I'll be working on the education, and I'll be working on creating a series of videos on the switch, because I feel the switch is a very sort of safe and profitable trading strategy, and it needs to be explained properly, as the video that we have on the website is not very clear at all. So I will attempt to do better, and that's what I'll be working on. Today I want to take a slightly different approach on our charts and on our chatting. We've been talking about the euro indices being bearish, but I can see that the S&P 500 can move up, and if that's going to be the case, then we're going to be seeing the euro indices push up as well. Now, if that's the case, we need to know at what point we can confirm that, and what entry points we can move into, and so on and so on. So with the S&P 500 here, we've been looking at this particular correction here as a wave 4, and it's quite possible that we can put wave 3 here as well, and wave 4 right over onto this last little low through here. But either way that you look at it, what we'd be looking for is a nice clear sort of entry across the top. So if we see strength in the S&P, and I do see it in sort of odd ways I've mentioned before in the US videos, is that I see markets can fail at the number 3 here, the top of group 1 here, but once they've got support here, there's a really high probability that they'll push up to the number 5 here. And then when we look at 24, the halfway mark, well, we can see that it's already done its thing here. It's above that, and in fact it's got support on the 30 here, the 24.30. So it's in a very positive position here in developing support on this subgroup 1 here as well. So any further strength in this up here, we'll probably see this extend up quite quickly between the 5 and the 8 anyway, between here. And obviously that's going to lift the European markets up as well. So I want to look at the DAX here again, and I know the DAX and a lot of the other indices throughout Europe have got slightly different counts, and so on and so on. It's been a little bit tricky. And we looked at this being a triangle pattern in here, with wave 5 being here and wave 3 being here. But I think that, and that's quite can be the case. But I think that I'm just going to block these out here for the purpose of this video, and look at these as not being completed to the upside. So the thing here is that it should be quite easy to work with. So this is a larger triangle here. Is the A, the B, the C, and the D here for wave 4. So if this is going to push up here, then the way that we can confirm this, and the way that we can look for shorts and so on as well, is that this, from this high here now to this low down here, we've got those reference points there. And now we've also got the 61.8% relation thing here is just, is really sort of on that 12,800 here, isn't it? So it's either going to, go up to here and then fail and not come back. Or the second thing is it's going to move up here in 5 waves, and then have an A and a B and a C wave here, and then push higher through here. Okay, so I'm not that interested in what it does in the short term here. I'm sure that it will be pulled up to the 12.8. That's not the problem. But it's after what happens to it is what I'm concerned about, because it would give us the pullback here would be our setup to go long from that point, and that would take us much higher. So we would be looking to be long at that point there. So I do think that so far in here we have wave 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and we're going up for the 5th wave here. So we'll get here and meet supply here, volume, and it will be sold off. So that's what we're looking for, this sell-off here, to look for a setup here. go long, or we can go short. So once we've got once we've got the high in place here, it's not there yet, but we have this high here, we can take this up to this point here and then start to look for what type of retracement level we're going to get. So we can look in at these sort of prices here, and then we will know that, whoops-a-daisy, we will know that, if I can just remove this for a moment. So moving from here to here roughly, maybe even just the trend line there, if we get 3 waves into this space, right, then we know that we're going to be bullish from that point. If we get 5 waves into this point here, this will be, if we get 5 waves to this point, then we know that we're going to get 3 back up, and then we're going to be coming down again. So we don't really have a setup here just yet. On the cash market, this move down through here can be counted as 5 waves, but on the futures market, it's counted as 3 waves. So it's not really helpful to us at this particular point. So in a nutshell, step 1 is that the 12.8 here as a nice support will be, and that will come in over here as well here, and we'll have an entry here, because the first entry is here, then we'll be able to bring it down to whichever high this comes into, and so on, and try and narrow it right down until we can, get a nice clear confirmed move here, because even once we've got this first leg down, the second leg and the third leg, then we've got to find the 61.8% between these two here, and then wherever that is here, work to the closest largest number over here for support, and that's where we can move into here. If you can see a clear 5 waves down into this little leg here, well, then you can buy on the bottom and come up from that point, but it doesn't guarantee that it's going to keep going at that point. So we'll work this little section over here. And this whole scenario that I'm talking about here, I can see it fitting into the CAC here as well. And with the CAC here as well, I can really take it from this previous low down here and look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for wave 1, and back for 2, and still the third wave coming in up here, and a fourth, and moving up here. But the same with the CAC as well. We don't need to be going long here unless we can see. I mean, it can fail from here and move down, and that's fine too. But if this market finds a support on this level here, then we can look to go long at this stage through here. So that's how that would pan out. The FTSE is the same as well. In this scenario here, yes, it can just fail from the 7.5 and drop down through here, but it does appear we've got 5 waves up through here now. This is all being a little bit messy here as well, but the fact that it's moved back up to this point here, it really means that we need to re-examine this as well. And for me too, this pattern across this pattern here is a really quite a nice classic trading levels pattern, because we've got the arrival here, then the reaction, which is the arrival, the reaction, and then we look for the first high above the level, which we look for 5 waves in, moving up here, and then we simply look for the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave to come into play here. And then the next step is basically to find support on top of this level here, and we keep bringing the entries down from here, down to here, and so on here. So that would be across here, down to here. We can bring it down to this one here, and hopefully we can find another one here. So it's not to say that this will turn bullish, but this pattern here also tells me that this is a bullish pattern here, and that we need to be looking for support on 7,500, or we may be able to get into it earlier once we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here in play. We'll get an ABC back here, and once again we can still look to get in lower through here as well. It'll be higher risk because we're under the level of 7.5 here, which is the main game, but support here would take the market higher as well. So we need to be prepared to be bullish there as well. and this would come through to the AEX as well here, with the Netherlands here. Now, I don't know about this particular count because it's really messy, but this is the best fit that I can see for it so far. In this case here, the high here to the low here, the 61.8%, whoops a daisy, just cleaning things up here, but the 61.8% is in this space here where the market is at the moment. So we can expect it to react from here, but let's not be sort of too hasty here, because if it finds support on this number here, the 523 here, that's the top of group 1, well then we need to be long from that point there as well. So let's just see how this goes here. This will be like the other markets finding their 5 waves up as well. So the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and wave 5 coming into this space here, making a new high. So once that's in play here, we can look at the 50-60% retracement level at this point here as well, and that would bring us back down well to this low here basically. So we can look at this being here. So we could say that if this number here, 518, became the retested resistance here, then we know that it would be at a failure at that point. But this can basically move back to here and then move up from here. And yes, it can fail, but we could put our entry at this point, and if that gets triggered there or at the 18, well then we can go short at that point there too. So yeah, I don't know this wave count here. This is really messy in lots of different ways. So I'm really in a bit of a guessing game with here. So this is why with all of these markets, I'm just using the ratios of price and the trading levels to establish not only the setups, but at these particular points that I've talked about would also prove the wave count being at a positive point. So I think that that's valuable as well. So yeah, we're going into strategy mode rather than wave count mode in a lot of these things here, and a bit of a blend of both of them. So let's just see what the S&P 500 does, because we know that the European markets, are following the S&P 500, because we're, when we look at the Dow Jones, for instance, and I'll take a quick look at that right now on the Wall Street one here. This is a 1 hour chart, and it's been moving up for quite some time here. It's got a different count altogether, but the European markets haven't been following this or the Russell or anything. It's been following the S&P 500, which has also been messy. And if I'm right with the S&P 500, then the Euro markets will push up, and they will be in line with the banks. And I know that the banks, the US banks, they started their trend in January 2016, just like the DAX did, and they have been correcting through here as well. So this is Morgan's here, just as an example, but 5 waves down for the A, the B, and 5 waves down for the C wave here. It's not that I have 5 waves up here yet, but I'm getting them, they're coming into play. We'll see, but they can be pushing up from here as well. So yeah, the S&P and the banks are displaying bullish modes. Let's see if the Euro indices come into play and develop support on those particular levels, and then we can trade long from those points. So there's a bear in the air, as they say. Alrighty, cheers.